I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Man eats the flesh of another.
In this secluded town,
He steals that man's strength.
one man is about to discover
He was licking me!
the legend is real.
We need others. You for one. I'm gonna kill him.
Ravenous.
Isn't this civilized?
Rated R.
Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another review. This is another review for Trevin, another Patreon review. Thank you so much for that. If anyone ever wants to request pretty much any type of videos, you'd either do so by directly via my PayPal or joining my Patreon. The links to both are down in the info box. But the review for today is Ravenous. Now, Ravenous is a film I had seen before, and it's a horror, western, black comedy. It's an interesting mixture of genres, and I would honestly say it's one of the best ones dealing with cannibalism because of its weird nature, solid cast, really interesting, fun, unique musical score. It does a nice take on cannibalism, the era it's set in, which is the Old West. Well, I say the Old West, but it's more... I'm trying to think of what year it was. It's around when the Mexican-American War happened. Because Guy Pearce plays a character where he survived this encounter, and he's being labeled as a hero, but some of them know that, no, you weren't a hero. Guy Pearce's character is Boyd. He had just survived because he was scared. He faked being dead. And by faking being dead and by being a coward, he was able to overtake the people and ultimately do the right thing, but in a cowardly way. Although, to be honest, part of me went, he just did the smart thing. I mean, yeah, he was scared. I don't blame him being scared, and I didn't did the smart thing. He was able to survive, so in my mind, wasn't giving the guy that much grief, but oh well. And I know this had issues in the making of. There was one director, and then something fell out. Then they got this other person, Robert Carlyle, one of the actors, helped get this other person, said, hey, I worked with this person before, why not? This does have a Scream Factory, I think of it. I don't know if it has much for features, though. Or if it's even in print anymore. But Guy Pearce, he's led to this fort in the middle of nowhere. He's sent there on new orders. And in the film, you got Jeffrey Jones, of course, sadly in real life, he's a sicko, pedophile guy. But is he a good actor? Yes. Robert Carlyle, who's in a film I just watched recently, which I'll review soon, Trainspotting. He's in this. We haven't seen him yet, but he'll appear later. But in the camp, you got Jeffrey Jones, you got David Arquette, who plays a stoner. You have forgot his name. Neil McDonough. But thankfully, I mean, he's all right in this. He's used sparingly, and because a lot of times Neil McDonough's in a movie, you go, oh no, like he was in Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li as Bison, but here he's fine, and there's a few others as well. And Jeffrey Jones trying to connect with Guy Pearce. Hey, this is a place we all go to, and we're all sort of not scoundrels, but we're kind of, I want to say leftovers, or this is kind of where they send us, that, but they don't really want us. And before I go on, I thought it had some interesting moments of direction. Moments where Guy Pearce is imagining what had happened before, how he survived, and you'll just hear the sound of his breathing. And this is very early on in the film this happens. The points where he's trying to eat and he just focused on this blood, and it makes him sick to the sight of blood. And also the music. I want to mention the music. I love the music in this, especially the main theme. It's such a unique, weird, but cool music. If you've never seen the film, look up Ravenous musical score or Ravenous soundtrack. Yeah, it made the film a bit more unique. And one thing leads to another. Robert Carlyle, his character, comes in and he tells a story about how he was with this group of people. They ran out of food. Then someone died. They ate the flesh. But then some got really into that, started killing others. He escaped. Jeffrey Jones goes, well, we gotta go find the survivors. And on the trip there, shit hits the fan. Now, the thing with the cannibalism, there's not a lot of cannibal movies that I could say I love. I think mainly because a lot of them are the Italian ones, or Cannibal Holocaust, or Cannibal Ferox. I'm not into the type of cannibal films. This one I enjoy more because I enjoyed the story more. I enjoyed the acting more. Guy Pearce. Robert Carlyle is a lot of fun. As you find out, he's the villain. I like the idea of the cannibalism where there's a little bit of a... Well, I don't know if you're supposed to view it as supernatural. I guess in a way, it's the legend of when you eat the flesh, you get that person's soul, so it can heal wounds like crazy, and you get stronger. And I know there's other films that have done that, but I thought this is one of the better ones of dealing in that way, and it made it interesting. It made it more of an intriguing story to me. There are moments of black comedy. When I say black comedy, maybe that's a wrong way to put it, but humor. Little bits of dark humor. I think dark humor is a better way of describing it. When they're on the way and one of them wakes up and, what are you doing? And they stop Robert Carlyle. He was licking me. What? He was licking me! And then when the shit hits the fan and Robert Carlyle has a gun and doesn't fire, he's like, that's so annoying. And Guy Pearce, even though for a good chunk of the film he doesn't have much words or dialogue, you still knowing more of his backstory. I like Guy Pearce as an actor. And it was interesting to see this dichotomy come to fruition where Guy Pearce and Robert Carlyle, in a way they're similar. Not just similar looking, but they're both people that are wanting to do what they can to survive. Guy Pearce, he pretended to be dead and all that stuff. Here, it's with Robert Carlyle, he wants to eat. He even talks about later how he had this horrible cough and sick and deathly sick, and this cured all that. And obviously he doesn't want to go back to that. But if you really look into it more, you have one character, Robert Carlyle, who, in a way, they're both cowards, because they could stop, but they don't, because they want the thrill of eating and consuming souls, however you want to put it, getting stronger. Addiction, you just say this is a nice usage of the theme of addiction, where there's a point where Guy Pearce is horribly hurt after this chase and this long drop off a cliff, and there's a body there, and he's like, I'm not going to do it, and ultimately he does do it, and he's able to get better. And it's this idea of this addiction, and how do I put it? Will one of them, in particular Guy Pearce, finally find the courage to say no? How do I get into that? Selfishness versus self-sacrifice. Maybe I'm looking more into it than I should, but that's what I was getting out of it, especially watching it again. I thought that was really interesting. Again, there's some fun moments. It's a bloody film. I mean, early on when you see some of the flashbacks of Guy Pearce, you see he's buried with a bunch of dead bodies and blood's just dripping on him and into his throat. There's, in this cave, they find dead bodies and skeletons. Mixed in with some fun lines of dialogue. Like Robert Carlyle goes, hey, you didn't eat all of them, but I can't blame you. He was tough, but a good soldier ought to be tough. But yeah, it does deal with things of morality, and even a certain character comes back and you realize that maybe they want to make a couple cannibals into a fold, into a group. One of them goes, it's lonely being a cannibal. It's tough making friends. And Robert Carlyle, like tempting Guy Pearce, eat to live, don't live to eat. So a little bit of Robert Carlyle like tempting Guy Pearce to come into this fold. And you get a brutal fight at the end, including dealing with a big fucking bear trap. That was really sneaky. I mean, I don't want to give every single thing away, but I thought that the actors did their jobs well. The music, again, very unique and interesting, mixed in with all the other quirky stuff. Robert Carlyle was having a lot of fun in the role. I thought Guy Pearce was ultimately, at the end of the day, a strong character. I think you could look deep into certain bits of morality, or you enjoy it as a cannibal movie, and it works out in that manner. But I thought it was, honestly, had more of a story for me and character work than some of those other cannibal films, but it still had the bloody moments to it. And getting into the spoilers, starting now, spoilers. I think when I first saw this, I was bothered by the ending, because they're both getting into a fight, and Guy Pearce pushes Robert Carlyle into this big bear trap, and it snaps and it kills them both. But again, I kind of, watching it again, really felt more of this selfishness versus self-sacrifice, where I mentioned before, they're both cowards and they're both selfish to survive, but selfish versus self-sacrifice, where Carlyle dies And Guy Pearce could eat him and survive and keep going, but I think deep down he knew that if he did that, that bloodlust will come up again. It might lead him to becoming like Robert Carlyle's character. So what could be more courageous than this guy who, for a good chunk of the film, was known to doing what he can to survive, being a coward, to do the most uncoward thing, let himself go and not get anyone killed. So there's a little bit of tragedy, but there's a bit of honor to the character. I thought that was an interesting takeaway I got from this movie at the end of the day. So I really enjoyed watching this again, Ravenous. I think it's an underrated film. No one ever talks about this movie. The marketing was awful. Like the posters, you don't see some poster over here. Every poster I could find for Ravenous is fucking awful. There's either the poster on Wikipedia that's just a fucking mouth going and looks like a fucking Marilyn Manson album or something. I don't know. It just either have a stupid mouth poster or just a couple heads and of Guy Pearce, Robert Carlyle. Like every poster you find sucks ass. Just sucks ass. I don't know what the Blu-ray cover was for this movie, if anything. I don't remember. And the trailers, I think the trailer's trying to sell it a bit more. I was going to say they try to sell a bit more as a comedy, but I don't know if that's true. I like the trailers were not that great. TV spots were not that great. Maybe it's the certain narrator that they got to voice it, or I don't know, just I'm sure there's people out there who could have edited a much better fan trailer than some of these official trailers. And maybe that's what led to some of the flopness of this at the box office. But yeah, Ravenous was really good. Watch it again. I really enjoyed it. So I definitely recommend anyone giving it a look. So thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.